Welcome to the While My Batteries Charge podcast. Join us as we talk about all things radio controlled. And now, your host,
Folks, this man, he is the king.
Mr. CCXRC himself, Tony CC.
Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another While My Batteries Charge podcast. It's been a minute. It's been another month since the last one, and I said I was going to try and do more, so I am behind, and I apologize for that. So, I've got a pretty big, full episode of stuff to talk about today. Events that I've went to that are happening, the race league that I'm starting, the lap monitor system that we're using, the new indestructible Arma Quake, the Komodo Unity 10 system, Great Lakes Gauntlet, lots of stuff to get to. Like I said in the title, the hobby is just super crazy busy for me right now, and I love that and am excited about that. So, I'm sorry, I'm working on something here on the the live stream, but yeah, we've got a lot going on, and I don't know how to get to all of it. It feels like it sometimes. So, I'm going to just jump into this. I'm going to start with a kind of a little highlight of things that happened, and then get into a little bit of what's been going on. So, big shout out, thank you to channel members that we have here. And new one, DSM Off-Road, just says new member. So thank you to you guys. I just posted a video for you. There's the channel member Mondays, which are not always on a Monday. I'm not like Harley Designs with Scale News Update where he's like on it. Like, you know it's coming. If it's not coming, I'm going to think something's wrong. So with me, I'm more the creative type, and I'm not very good at, keeping to schedules and calendars and things like that. So, yeah. Anyway, it came on a Wednesday last week. It came on a Tuesday this week, and we're going to just do our best to give you something every week, video-wise. We'll keep the name of it and try to go to a Monday schedule, but for those of you that are members, I do try to post a weekly video for you. Which is kind of behind the scenes stuff. In this case, some of it will be rehashed because we're doing the podcast, and this is kind of a big behind the scenes thing for everybody. But I shared some stuff in the other one that I won't share out loud to everybody else here. But yeah, anyway, man, I've got something in my throat. Let me clear it. I don't know what happened, but it's like right when it started, it like got lodged there. So I want to talk about the Great Lakes Gauntlet here. I think I'll wait on some of the event stuff. But just so you do know, if you do stick around and listen to the end, what I'll be talking about is we're also starting the West Michigan RC Monster Trucks racing series here in Michigan, West Michigan. There's already some guys on the east side running some stuff. The Monsters of Michigan, and they're over like I don't know. I think they were in Garden City area for a little while on some of them. I don't know exactly where they're running right now. But there's also the ACPRC that runs in Flint area. And so those guys are all east side. It's a bit of a hike for me to get out there for race days and for how long they are and for how early like the Monsters of Michigan start. I could never really make it work with my schedule. And then now ACPRC, they're actually doing it evenings. I could probably get to one of those. And so I need to try to get over there and say hi. But for those of us over here, kind of more west side, we're going to try and get something started. In fact, I think where we're going to be running some of them is actually not too far from the Flint guys. So they're actually talking about coming out for some of them. So should be an interesting time. We'll get into more of that, talk through some of the rules, some of the big stuff. Our first event is actually already on the books. It's going to be October 4th. I should know this. It's going to be on October 4th. Yeah. Well, that was very See how I am about the details? That's not my kind of a thing. Anyway, what's going on? I'll say hi to some of the people in here that are jumping in. But this is really more of a podcast style, so I don't go into a ton of stuff that's happening in the chat. If there's a really great question or something that helps me out, then I will point to it. But because a lot of people listen to this when they're at work or whatever, this is more podcast driven, kind of an update. But we're going to say hi to Jim's RC World, Trail Crawlers, True Spoken, Williams RC Adventures. Hey, Will, Revan Sons RC. Dude, what's going on, man? All is well. Your lunchtime. Yeah. DSM Off-Road. You coming down for the gauntlet? I hope we see you there. Anyway, Trail Crawlers, Radioactive, you guys, Rooster, thanks for tuning in to this while we're doing it live. All right, so first things first, No Limit RC Midwest series, their showdown that they had. So this kind of kickstarted a bunch of stuff for me. So I used to run with the No Limit RC group of Virginia, Joey Gargaro and them, Heather, and they put on the races for us that I mainly attended when I was in Virginia. And they were in like the Virginia Beach area. They'd go to Newport News. They'd go to different stores that were the hobby towns at the time. They'd go down to Digger's Dungeon. They would do a race at Beef Fest, which I think they're actually getting ready to do the Beef Fest race here very soon. And so yeah, it's pretty big what they do there. It's been running for many years. In fact, it's one of the longer racing series that's gone on, like continuous. I want to say it's a big number that they're celebrating next year. And I want to say it's 20, but that might be way high. Somebody could, if they're in here, could tell me. But they're pretty far along in their series for the big event that they do yearly, which is their World Finals event. And so they did it at the Metal Shop this past year. Apparently it was amazing. Well, they've started doing this Midwest one, and it happens at the International Monster Truck Hall of Fame and Museum, Monster Truck Museum. And that's with Jeff the Wildman Cook, and he kind of helps started that and runs all of that. But I went down for that, and it's the first time I've actually been able to make it. I've wanted to for, I think this was the third year they did it. Maybe it's only the second, but I know I wanted to go last year. I couldn't because I was working on the weekends. I couldn't get it off. And so this year it worked out, and I ran down there. It was kind of last minute when I realized that it was coming up, but made plans, got my stuff ready, headed down there, had an absolute blast. Got to see my buddy Jeremy Smith, who used to, be on the channel a lot and would help me with a ton of my RC stuff. And so it was really good to see him. And he's now RVing and doing a whole cool lifestyle of stuff now, traveling and on the road. But this is their event, the No Limit RC Midwest Nationals. And here's some of the podium stuff. You can see I took first in the retro, which was pretty cool for being my first year back. It was cool because they had the guys from Kentucky were there, and a bunch of people I knew from Virginia, and yeah, just it was awesome seeing my buddies Carl and his family, and but yeah, it was really good to get into it again, and it made me realize that I wanted to be doing this more. And so it really kind of I also won an award for one of my trucks. So I got like 2 plaques coming out of here. So I got one for my Jester truck as well. But yeah, Jeff set up the course for us. We had fun racing it, and a decent amount of trucks showed up. This is how, it happens with us guys. We bring a bunch. We don't just race one truck when we come to a race. We bring, I had 5 trucks, I think I raced. 2 retro. I had 6 trucks I raced. So I brought 6 trucks to race when I was there. And people brought more than that, but that's what I brought. Because it's drag racing, it's fast. For runtime, you want to have multiple trucks. And so that's kind of partly the reasoning behind it. But yeah, so that happened, got me really, really kind of inspired to think about running the monster trucks here in Michigan on the west side, where we could, one, not only, bring more people down to an event like this, but we could get some people going to some of the other events that I think are awesome. But also right before this, I'd gone to the World Finals in Utah, and just remembered how much fun it was to hang out and talk monster trucks and just kind of be around like-minded people and have fun playing with toy cars. So excited to get it going. And so what we've decided, or what I've done, is I've created what is, I'm calling the WMRC MT. If you just want to go with like the acronym of it, it's the West Michigan RC Monster Trucks. And it'll be a race series, but right now there'll also just be some independent races. Like right now we're just going to race just to get together, run the trucks, so people can kind of get an idea what it's like, because not everybody's done it. And so there are people, there's quite a few I'm finding in this area that have done it and want to do it. And so that's exciting because they've already got trucks that fit into a lot of the classes. And yeah, so we've kind of, I've opened it up. I wanted to stay monster trucks for the most part. That's all I'm looking. In fact, I would think there would even come a time when I might get rid of the 2-wheel drive class and go more to, as more people get solid axle trucks, that's what I really want it to be. And I'd rather have more classes of solid axle trucks and kind of remove some of the other classes. But the problem is that right now there's not a cheap way to get into RC monster truck racing. We had the Axial SMT10, and that was like a fairly inexpensive crawler version. You almost felt like you were buying, I don't mean this to knock you, Axial, but when I got it and I saw how slow it was, it kind of felt like you were getting like a Walmart RC car. Like you see this Gravedigger body and you expected it to go fast and jump, but they put a crawler motor in it. Actually, it was a crawler company. It did not have they could have done even a 16-turn motor or whatever. They could have put a faster brushed motor in it, but they didn't. It was so slow. It could barely do anything. I don't know if any of you guys remember that. It was unbelievable, the choice for the motor that they put in it. But it got us started. It gave us another platform because there was the Red Cat at the time too, the Ground Pounder, and those were highly breakable as well. And then, but you could get started. You get a fairly inexpensive brushless system, put it in there. You could run it for a while until you blew out the rear diff, and then it was another $50. You put in their HD diff gear, and I never touched the diffs again after that. Like they just worked. So, other than if you're going to freestyle it hard, you probably wanted to put in, like the steel tubes that went in the axles, which were pretty cheap in the end. You could start getting them cheap. So yeah, anyway, there was like a cheaper, like you could get into it for about $450 and some elbow grease, right? To get into it. Well, now the LMT is at $750. So like that cost of entry, like when it first came out, I was like, all right, $600, you're ready to go. Everything you need, you can race this and you can compete with the $1,000 trucks, the ones that people have built way up. And so, but that disparity is kind of happening again at this point, like between the expense in the starting and like I've been in it for a while and, built up this massive fleet. Expensive. So that was the whole reason of having a 2-wheel drive class for me, was you can get now the Armaquake for $270. It goes 50 miles an hour out of the box with a 3S battery. So we're actually going to limit that class to 2S because the Stampedes that are out are a 2S Max in their cheaper Stampede version. So just to kind of not have the Quakes just killing everything, we're going to kind of limit them to the 2S, which will hopefully, if people gear up their Stampedes, make them kind of on the same playing field. but it could also be a Gorgon that you put your own brushless motor into. I've got sitting on the desk here the FMS High Roller. That's a brushed truck, and I might do something in the rules that would allow a brush truck to run on 3S. I'm gonna have to see, because if these on 2S are stupid, like this is a $150 truck too, so it's pretty cheap. So we could do like 2S on brushless, but you can get, it's tough because you can start getting some of those other motors and really low turns and whatever. So anyway, right now it's just a 2S class. I'll have to rethink it. I'm going to see how fast that is on 2S and what we could gear it to. I mean, some of it's just being able to drive them anyway. Two-wheel drive, you get too much power, you're going to be all over the place, and somebody with a slower brush truck might still beat you. I mean, let's be real. It's funny how out of control you can get with these. Like, you think you know how to drive an RC. I thought I was pretty good. I laughed at people when I showed up, and I was like, these guys can't drive. I'm going to come out here and kick everybody's butt. And then they put the lanes down in the jumps, and I was all over the place. I couldn't. It's like when you put gates on a crawler course. Your crawler now tumbles a lot more than when you just go over rocks and up dirt hills, and you think your crawler's unstoppable. You start putting gates down, and things get a little trickier. But anyway, what we're looking at for classes for it, we'll just jump into it. I was going to do this at the end, but here we are. We're talking about it. I got my rule posted. So the first race is going to be October 4th. If I toggle this down, it'll give there's a rules list. So this is on the West Michigan RC Monster Trucks page. There's an event page for this, and it has the rules listed in the description there. You're allowed multiple entries per class. I think we do like 3 is the limit per class. I think, or maybe I'll look. It says in the rules, but you can bring multiples per class if you have more than one to get more time. But there's another fee for every one that you enter. Right now we're doing, come main racing, it might be $10 per truck. But for now we're going to do $10 and $5 for every other. So your first truck's 10 and your additionals are 5. And that's across the class. It's not like every first truck in each class is $10. No, it's like if you bring more than one truck, it's 10 for the first and then 5 for the additional. And then we're going to have 9 a.m. We're going to do mini registration. It's going to open up. 9:30 practice will open. And 10 o'clock we'll start the brackets for the mini LMT classes. And there's going to be a mini pro mod as well, because people want to run brushless, people want to run aftermarket chassis and or cageless or stuff like that. But I want to keep one of them because this right now is probably the cheapest way to get into solid axle monster truck would just be to buy a mini. You can get right now on Amazon, I think they have them for like $220 for the Megalodon. They're $300 in most shops right now. So it might not be $220. It might have been a little more than that. But it was less than $300. It was less than $250. I remember that because I told a few people about it. So there's that. But if you want to run other truck bodies on it, it's a trickier one to change and keep the cage because it's a shark-shaped cage. And so then you buy caging and all that. It could get expensive again. But the idea with the main mini LMT is to keep the cost low and keep it pretty stock. We're going to let you change wheels, tires, servos, just because they break. But we want to keep cages. We want to keep stock shocks, stock chassis, stock electronics, 2S battery, not changing a whole ton on it. You know, you could put metal axles because it's not going to change, honestly, how it drives. Things like that. You could upgrade some of those parts like links to metal, but we're not trying to extend it or do any of that. It should stay the same basic platform as the stock with the cage and all of that. So that's the stockish mini LMT, and then there'll be the more pro mod, which can be a lot more adjustments and all of that. I thought about keeping stock tires at some point, but there comes a time where like the little changes like that, you want to allow one because it does help the companies that make stuff for us. It's not the hugest market out there, RC monster trucks. And so the more that we can support them by saying, hey, we want your stuff being used, the more that they're going to continue making stuff for us. And so that's good for us. And so we want to honor the companies that make stuff by supporting what they do. But we're also going to then have other classes because I still want to support the people making chassis and all the other cool stuff that's being made. And that will be in the more pro mod. Also allow brushless motors if you need it. I still don't think you need it, but if you really want it, because they get a little bit unwieldy the faster they get going. So that's going to happen. So I'm basically breaking up the day into two sections because I also think that some people might only come for the minis. Like if there's a kid that has it, I don't want them to have to sit and stay all day 8 hours in order to do their qualifying or practice and then run. So we're going to get their stuff just all done. And the goal for the day is to run 2 sets of races. So we'll do it, change the track, and run another set. That way people get practice time. We will run through the brackets. We'll reset the track, run another 15-minute practice. At that point, like you're just learning the track. I don't think you need as much practice as the first one, which we're going to open up and let people drive a little more, just to get a feel for it. But you've already gotten a feel for how the terrain is and what the dirt's feeling like. I don't feel like the practice needs to be super long. You get some hits on it. We'll do another bracket. We'll race again. And then freestyle. Take a lunch break, intermission, but that'll also be registration for the bigger trucks, and then we'll run those. And so same thing, we'll do, change the track and do retro, which is going to be 12:45 for practice on that. And it's, again, retro, you don't need a ton of practice. Retro racing at 1, so 15-minute practice. Change out the track, you got to remove stuff, and then get into the faster trucks. And we'll give them their own practice time because they won't be out there running while the retro stuff is on, because you could break stuff hitting some of those things at full speed. So at that point, we'll run another, I think that's a longer, like a 30-minute practice, because it's going to be the pro mod trucks and the 2-wheel drive. And it's really just going to be, the practice is going to be run like races, where we'll get 2 trucks up and we'll do the light. So it'll be almost like qualifying too. So you're getting used to doing the light, plus you're competing against somebody next to you. But for these, we're just going to randomize the brackets. Because for a couple of reasons, some people, I don't have a legit timing system, and some people do stopwatches. But I mean, honestly, when racing is as tight as it can be, and our qualifying times are so close, when you see the reaction times on things, just that alone could put you before or behind people, because the stopwatch person is slow on the hit to start and slow on the hit to end. Could make for a pretty big variable. And so I don't want to deal with that and with what that looks like for setting qualifying times. Just not accurate enough to make it even worthwhile, in my opinion. I know some people do it. They're free to do it that way, but I'd rather just do it as randomized and do multiple racing that way. And yeah, I mean, it's really funny when you see reaction time, and that's from you seeing a light go and you hitting the trigger, and then, because the real systems will give readouts on that kind of thing. And so you're giving a double reaction time to a person with a stopwatch and a little button thing. And yeah. And then you're trying to make judgments based on that, or when they actually visibly think they saw somebody. So your eyes get into it, your reaction, your hand-eye coordination, not worth it, in my opinion. So until we get a better timing system, we're going to kind of randomize the brackets. I think the other thing I like about that too is it doesn't put the newest person against the fastest person that's been there forever running. So it kind of equalizes that out. But doing the multiple races also means that you get another chance. So you may not, if you had a quick one out because you did get put up against the guy that wins everything, chances are next time you're not going to go against them first. And probably if I saw that you did, I would just reshuffle it. Because we're really trying to give people a good experience. So that's kind of where this is and where we're coming from with that. So we'll run it, and then we'll run the racing, flip it, put the retro back out, give them another 15 minutes, run the race, set up the two-wheel drive Pro Mod, and so the whole idea is just to be running trucks, and that's why I love coming together and doing this stuff, is because I love getting together with people and running trucks. Sometimes, like, I have just as much fun doing the little, night before, where if the track's set up and we just run it with buddies. We just did this with the guys from Kentucky. And we were just, grudge matching, man. Like, you put down your truck, I'll run against you. And so you get to do that during practice. So having practices, you can still race each other and kind of have like, dude, I kicked your butt and that. Like, you can still make it fun, because that's all racing really is, getting a few people together and seeing who can win. And so whether or not it's the sanctioned racing bracket part of it, or if it's just you and your buddy, because you might not actually ever get put together in the brackets if you both get knocked out by other people, the practice might give you that opportunity to, to run together. I just saw a comment in here. Got my Quake last night. Survive me. I did my best, even flat landed on its lid, from Dave. We were actually talking. So I was actually talking with him. He's coming to Gauntlet. I want to talk about the Quake later, because it's really, in my opinion, one of the toughest RCs that I've driven in a while. And you see it here in this picture. So actually, these are all my trucks. I just grabbed some photos quickly because I was trying to put together this last minute, because I want people to have as much time to know about it and try and schedule to be there if they want to. All of it's going to be weather permitting, because it's an outdoor venue. And, it's going to be at Walter RC Park, which is where the Gauntlet is. The Gauntlet's coming up this weekend. I'm actually going to bring some of my mini LMT stuff just to have fun with on that area. Like, when it's not competition time and we're just free running RCs, you'll probably find me over in that little flat piece of square dirt with a few ramps or whatever, and just having fun with LMT minis and trying to throw together grudge match races like we're talking about. I'm going to bring my little Traxxas light, drag light, so we can have something to get us started. But yeah, so same idea, and then we'll do freestyle. The rules are posted of what the formats are, and it talks about the idea of having the two different racing tracks, the practice, the seating, all of that. We may, depending on how many people show up to it, do round robin instead, which means everybody just faces everybody, and whoever wins the most wins. So all of that all the formats are described in here of what it may be, as well as the freestyle. Penalties. We're going to do penalties for, disqualifications or did not finish. Those are kind of what get written down. What DQs you when you get a penalty, like failure to hit a jump with both your tires is a penalty. And then cutting inside of a corner or completely going around a jump is more of a penalty. Series points here. And we may actually update the corner one to be a +2 second. Like, if any of I know they used to do it in Monster Jam. You couldn't even touch the corner barriers. Like, if you hit them and put your tires over them or whatever, that was a penalty. A 2-second penalty. So I think that's probably going to be added just for more clarification, because how do you know if they cut inside the corner, or if they kept one wheel hit it, like, or is it two tires go on the inside of the corner? Is that cutting the corner? I think if we just offer a penalty for touching the corner obstacle at all, that helps just keep people away from it. But anyway, we'll see. Some of that stuff still up in the area. We got lots of places we're talking with right now. There's about 5 that are interested in hosting races, and so that's been pretty cool. it's also tough because I don't want to only be at each place 1 or 2 times during the race series, because that's, if I'm asking them to keep us on the calendar, to keep an area open for us or clear, that's a lot of work to do for them, for us to not be there very often. So I understand that, and I've got to work through some of that, and whether or not that means we run 2 series, like a Southern and a Central series, like a more Battle Creek Kalamazoo once a month, and then flip between them, or if we do, and then do one up in like Ionia area, then kind of, there's 2 places in that area, Saranac and Ionia, that are interested. And then there's one other one that's in the south as well, south of Grand Rapids, that are actually getting ready to start doing some stuff and building an area. So that might be in that rotation of the other 2. There's those kind of things I have to figure out, because then I would be running the racing twice a month, so 2 Saturdays, but in different locations. But they would be their own point series, is the way I'm thinking of it. So people don't feel penalized if they can't make twice a month. But then what might happen is then we might do a big full world finals or whatever, where we all come together for a finals race. And then your placements on those are competing against your own series, but you're also racing against other people from the other series. And so you might not, if you take first all the time, you might take second or third, but your points are only going to count against what the other people in your series get for that day, as the final. So it could get interesting. It could be fun. Those are things I'm thinking through. A lot of time spent on it, and just trying to figure out exactly what it's going to look like. Right now, all we're going to do is run fun races, just for the sake of running for the day. And the winner for the day is the winner for the day. It doesn't add up for anything. It's not a series. But one of the places I've talked to possibly could be a winter location and would allow for indoor racing, which means we could have a winter series, which would be pretty cool to not have to stop for winter. All right. I think I've talked about the monster truck stuff enough. We're already 30 minutes in, and that's kind of taken up quite a bit of it. Talking about the No Limit race up to this point and how it got this started in my mind. But I do have still quite a few things that I want to get to here on my list. So I'm going to quickly hit the comments here. So if you're listening online, I'm just going to quickly take a look and see what some people are saying. Yeah, people wanting to they're interested in it. Yeah, point series of doing the 2 would be pretty cool. Yeah. Trevor says he's coming to the Gauntlet for the first time. You're going to have a great time. The Gauntlet's an amazing event. We're going to talk about it a little bit here later. I see Josh and Joe. They're going to be coming as well. Our Steam Eagle's saying 2-wheel drive comes down to shock setup too. Yes, very much so. But there's the 2-wheel drive is more of an open class, because we're not limiting. It could be brushed, brushless. I just am limiting. I just said you can't be doing like pin tires or whatever. It either has to be the stock tires that come with the truck, or it has to be, if you're going to change the tires, it really should be a monster truck style tire, like a Chevron-ish style tire. Because that's the goal. The goal is to be monster truck racing. So that's what we want to see being replicated. And I know there's not 2-wheel drive independent monster trucks. They still, for the most part, try to give that look on a more inexpensive scale. Like the cheapest you can get into it right now is that FMS for $150. The Gorgon's not far behind at, I think they're $170 without batteries and all that. And then the brushless ones are over $200. And $270 for the Quake. I don't remember what the Stampede 2-wheel drive is. But those are the main trucks that I'm considering, are the Stampede 2-wheel drive, the Arrma 2-wheel drive monster trucks, the Gorgon and the Quake, and then the FMS First Blood or High Roller. And if new ones come out, we'll adapt to that too. But the idea is monster truck based, 2-wheel drive. So yeah, one of the things too is like the Arma. I was trying to say Axial. I was trying to get the word. The Arma one is a little bit more mid-motor, so it's even the weight balance is going to be a little different on those as well. But that's not something we're really taking into account. These are the sub $300 RCs. Put them out, make them 2S, and have fun racing. That's the main goal, is to just get out there, get people doing it, and having fun racing. So let me jump to a couple quick things that I can bounce off of here that I did want to talk about, and one of them was the FureTech MicroPython. FureTech continues, in my opinion, to keep innovating, and that's what I've always liked about what they do. Sometimes, for how polished some of the stuff they do is, there's also that parts that are kind of just unpolished and quirky about it, and stuff that I'm willing to kind of glance over because of how much and how quickly they're innovating and trying new things that nobody else is really trying. So I know with their ESCs, there's been times, and I don't know if it's shut off stuff or whatever, but for voltage or different things, but like where I'll be driving and all of a sudden it'll just kind of keep going. And that might be usually I think that tends to be when my radio gets low on battery and I'm running one of their radios. But there's other where like you're sitting there for a while waiting for people, then you have to on off it, like, because it's like it shut down. Doesn't happen often, but there's every once in a while those little quirks, I feel like, with some of their stuff. But this, I haven't really had any of those quirks with their 10 scale. What you get with their stuff is really cool because of the Bluetooth technology and the being able to update your throttle curves and all that from your phone while you're out on the trail or on the comp course or whatever. Like it's insane what they've built into it. And now they've got those little micro screens that you can use and the Tesla dashboard. So this actually I have here is this was the prototype one of their 10 scale that I was sent 2 years ago now, something like that. It's been a while since I was prototyping this and running it for them and giving some feedback. I was definitely in Michigan because I remember I'd taken it over to Dave's course and there wasn't enough drag brake and on one of the motors that I had to test with it. The bigger one was great, but the smaller one, the magnets weren't enough. But now, like, they've got this one here, the Komodo Unity 10, 2300 kV, fast, but also super slow. And it's all built in that little thing right there. All of your ESC, all the Bluetooth, all of it's contained in that guy. It's insane. And then I added the Micro Tesla dashboard, which they show here, which isn't a link, so I can't jump to it. I thought I had it set. But so much power, super smooth, the 5 amp integrated BEC on it, 2 to 4S LiPo, if I recall. Actually, I was just going past all the stats. I should have just read some. 2 to 4S LiPo, integrated 5 amp BEC, so up to 8.4 output voltage on that. Super lightweight, 99 grams, fits into like the tight area on those Vanquish where you got to stick in the H10 optics. That's where I put mine. Super great in that kind of a thing. And so that's the other thing. I just got the optic. I was late to the game on that, but I traded for it in LMT. And super, super cool. In fact, I think here's a picture of it in here. So yeah, I got the blue and white one. And from Axial 32 is who I traded for it. But runs so good, all of it, the whole combo. I went up with Travis here. He's running his cool 3D printed car. So these are some of the videos that I have been putting out. I haven't had much time recently, so in a week. So like I did one. I wouldn't call it a video. It was kind of like I need to put something up, so I'm going to make something the quickest that I can. And so I talked about my trailer. But it's at night, like it's after I've been working all day in it and sweaty and it's grainy because I just use my phone. Luckily, I use a microphone, so that helped make it a little bit more professional feeling. And In fact, I could probably just play some of it. You can see kind of how grainy it is. But it's just kind of showing around inside the trailer and the stuff that I was doing in here. But it's just me talking and showing just the upgrades and updates. But I needed something to go up because the algorithm's right. But also people like some of the behind the scenes stuff. It's not like total throwaway, but it's not like cool new product or cool new thing, whatever. It's just, here's something I'm in my RC life that I'm working on, which, you know, I love watching those kind of videos. I'll be honest. When Mark Santa Maria was moving into his new shop and he's talking about it, I love that kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of chose to do it. But we did the trailer video, and then we did the one racing over at some friends' houses with the mini LMTs. And so that one actually was me also still working because I got to build some of the graphics and stuff that we're going to use, because with the race series that I'm talking about, and even if I do two, there will be videos for those series, probably per bracket. So each bracket will be its own video, like LMT Mini all the way down. That'll be a whole video showing all of the racing, and that way everybody gets to see it. People watching can follow behind. I would love to do like even point standings at the end of the video for the series to show kind of where people are lining up, because that's kind of what they do. I love to watch motocross or supercross, and that's kind of one of the things that you're tracking as you're watching each new race, is where everybody is in the standings and what these races mean for them. So I don't know if I'm going to try and do narration and dialogue, like just kind of sit here and do some of that kind of dialogue for it after the fact, while it's going, kind of like narrated, or what. We'll see how that looks, or if we'll just kind of use the narration from the day. So I plan to not have music playing. If I do, it'll probably, it'll definitely be royalty free music, so that we're not getting slammed with copyright stuff and all of that. So there may be some just kind of behind, like lower played music in there that, one, also won't hurt other. So the other thing is too, I want other people doing videos and posting content, but I don't want them. One, it's hard. I know, because I go places and I try and film, and if you're anywhere near the speaker where you're set up, it's so loud and it overtakes anything that you're trying to say on your videos that you're making, or some of that stuff. So we'll have to think about how that is played out. You definitely want a little something going, a little ambiance, but we'll see what that looks like. So getting back into racing because of this video that we're talking about. So I really just wanted to talk about the H10 optic. That's what the main point was. And I did kind of an install video showing it getting installed and how it does fit into the optic, and then how the Tesla, I ended up mounting it to the dashboard. I think it looks super trick in there. And, I think it's definitely something to take a look at. If you're interested in an Outrunner combo, 2-in-1, ESC and motor Outrunner. It's insane. First of its kind, really, that's been developed by them. All right, back to my notes. That's Vanquish, H10, Komodo Unity, Arma Quake. So let's talk. Arma has had, I've got a bunch of Arma pages here to talk about. They dropped some new colors for these. I'd never had. I'm not a huge buggy guy. Like I know Pablo, if he's still in here, they love buggies and they love racing. The buggy scene was never really my part of the RC hobby as far as things go. Like I'm not like all about the buggies, so they don't kind of have the same stunt. They fly too good. They drive too good. Let's just say that they drive too good. So, I like monster trucks. I like wheels up. I like flipping. I like them getting a little bit kind of crazy. This thing drives really good. It's straight, stays straight. It flies straight. We launched it like over our telephone wires here, right where our little track is. We sent it to the moon. I had a friend whose son had a birthday, and now this is going to feel, here, I'm going to go full screen for this. This is going to feel like a dig. This isn't a dig. This is not an intentional dig. I got to find where I was with that. Nope. There. This is not a dig. So they called me. They were at a hobby store here locally, and they were looking at buying him one for his birthday, an RC car. They were at Cobblestone in Holland for people that are local to me, which only sells Traxxas stuff for the cars. I think they might have. They don't have Horizon stuff for cars. Let's just say that. So he basically is telling me what he's looking at with the options for the Traxxas Stampede. No, sorry, the Slash. He bought a Slash. And I was saying I wouldn't recommend getting the 2S only version. If you're going to do it, spend the extra and get the one that does 3S out of the box. So he did that, and they broke it twice. He fixed it, went back, they could still get parts, broke it again. So they called me the day before his birthday party when we were going over. So we went over the next day, and they called, and they were seeing if I had a drive shaft because they busted. And this happens all the time on them. Kind of the rear drive shaft, right where it connects to the wheel, like that hub. So at the U-joint, it just, they tend to explode. So I didn't have one, but they asked if we could bring some RCs over. They know I've got a bunch because he wants to run them for his birthday. So I only had 2 ready and available, and it was this Arrma and the Quake. And I brought them over, and they're 2 boys. The older one, whose birthday it was, ran this thing, and he beat it into the ground. So his dad has some nice equipment. They've got some nice property. He built a pretty big dirt jump, which is how he broke the Slash. Like, I'll give it to him. He probably landed on throttle trying to save it because it probably was nose diving, and he was probably just holding on and just landed, and it popped. But holy cow, they beat this Typhon to the ground. There's several times like, well, that's an A-arm, or oh, that's going to be the shock, or oh, that's going to be something's broken on that hit. And it just took everything that they threw at it. I mean, I was quite shocked at how durable this one was. I knew the Quake was going to be. So his younger brother was handed the Quake. And he hit trees, and he landed on one wheel. He landed nose down, like body, everything. Like the body is one of the most shocking things about how durable the Quake is. The way that they reinforce the front end and the back end of that. Like, so I have like the Max. I think the Traxxas bodies are some of the cheapest bodies ever made. They crack and split and tear more than any other body that I've ever had. I mean, I've only had the stock ones, so I don't know. Like my Max ones, any of them that I've had, X-Max, all of them tear kind of where they, especially by the back wheelie bar and all that, or the corners, they just tear all the way up. Sides, for whatever reason, they tear. They get beat up pretty quick. This thing has, other than scuffs and stuff, it is absolutely tough. It is the truck that I would hand to anybody. Now, granted, they're not going to be able to drive it as well. It's 2-wheel drive. It's fast. It's wheels up. Doesn't steer as easy because of all of those reasons. It's harder to drive, but I think it's what makes it one of the most fun trucks that I have to drive too. And I go back to how much I love my original Stampede Traxxas Gravedigger that I got when I started in the hobby. Let's show the Quake really quick here too. So I have the purple one here like this. The wheelie bar, super strong, landed on that many times. I've had a lot of wheelie bars that break, bumpers that break or punch in or push in when you land on them. So stout. This whole build is absolutely completely rigid, because this is all plastic. This whole back, as well as the whole front grille, and the way that they interlock that into the rest of it, there's still Lexan behind it, but it's got this really, really large reinforced piece of plastic right there, and that comes back and up over the top of it there. Let's see if it'll zoom in more. Nope. So really, really tough in that way. The tires, the type of compound, they go pizza cutter pretty well, pretty bad without popping. I've had some of the other Arrmas. What used to be my favorite truck was the Granite 3S. And now that thing, I blow tires up so much on it with the stock tires that it's tough because, if you put on some bigger, heavier tires, you might blow diffs. And so I just keep putting the stock tires on, but I keep blowing them up. If you stay on throttle too long in a backflip or whatever, these ones seem really tough. But yeah, here's again that big plastic nose on the front of these are just that, and then a whole spine style chassis that they have that again is very much like and not like a Stampede because it's not open like that is. This is very closed. This is old school. If I go back thinking about my Arrma that I have, the buggy, the old one, the Raider, kind of like that ish. In the way that it's really narrow, but it's completely enclosed as well. So it's like this big tube, and there's so much strength in that it's crazy. The only thing is the bottom loading battery, which I don't love. Definitely was a big improvement taking the top off of that compartment and feeding the wires through. Just makes everything a lot easier to deal with. So, but there's not a lot that you should have to get at. Everything's pretty well protected inside of it. And the plastics that they use, the A-arms, all that, have taken all of the abuse that we've thrown at it. And it just eats it up. I don't understand. There's not the skid rails on the top of the body or whatever, but it's still just really, really solid. I've landed it upside down. I've landed it every single which way, and it's probably, I'm trying to think of what RC cars have come out this year. Because it might be one of my favorites of the year. To be like, I went to the dunes this Sunday. It's all I took. When I go places and I just need to grab something, I grab this. Because I just know it's going to drive, and it's, if somebody else wants to rip it, here. It's awesome. So now I just need to get a green one because the green one's, my opinion, is where it's at. With these, other people can disagree. The purple ain't bad. I haven't seen the red one in person. The purple pink's not bad. But yeah, I would say other than that, like Arrma, this would be one of my top favorites too right now is their 4S. They have a lot of trucks right now that I really, really can get down with. These being probably one of my favorites right now to run. And that's a bunch of buddies of mine. We get together, we run them, and we race them. And we just bought the lap monitor system, which is the next thing we can segue into here, which is a timing system for $88. With no transponders, just the timing system that you Bluetooth to your phone or your iPad or Android to count laps, and then you buy the transponders like these here, any of these, depending on what type of car you run, and it can run races for you based on time. It wouldn't work for monster truck racing because it's not really a drag system, but for lap racing, it's awesome. And it works really, really good. The hardest thing about it is putting it somewhere where people won't hit it. So, like, you need to build a mini fortress around it. My buddy Travis just gave me this big metal thing. I used to have one. I think my buddy Charlie has it now with the Raminator. We used it as a base for that, like to sit it on to keep the wheels off the ground. We got another one. It's this big U-shaped piece of metal that hooks up on the bottom. And so my idea is just drill out 2 holes on each side and stake that thing into the ground wherever we end up putting it, so that, I mean, it might damage some cars, but you're not going to knock out the timing in the middle of a race. I'll have other barriers around it, like hopefully that will keep you from going directly into that metal piece. But if you're driving that bad, it's on you. If you hit that barrier and continue and still hit the timing system. So we'll just, kind of offset that little. There'll be a little bit more room in that middle area. That way also you could have corner marshals standing in there if you wanted. But yeah, so really great unit. We bought this little stand with it, and then we ended up getting a little hard case, like a Pelican style case for it. What's going on, Saturn 5 and RC Master? Thanks for joining in. Sonic Moto as well. So that's the next thing I want to talk about. Just some stuff that's taken our RC game to the next level. Like, we were trying to count laps and do RC racing with those mini Groms in our front yard. And what took it to the next level was getting this timing system and being able to actually know how many laps. Because we'd record races, and I haven't posted them yet. I've got like races on video. I posted this race that was more recent, with some buddies. And so this is kind of posted with LMT racing, but we'd done this before at my house. And when we do it, we also did some lap racing with the monster trucks, and we didn't have the timing system yet. And we would count out loud, and it was funny to go back and watch it and see how far off we were on our counting of laps. Because we'd all be off. And we'd be like, I think we were on 5. And like, we're all on the same lap, we think. So we'd all just stick with it and go. But 8 laps in, you're done with your 5 that you needed. So it is definitely a game changer to have it where it is actually keeping track of all the laps for us. So, yeah, it's good. But the Groms has definitely been one of my favorite RCs. In particular, the brushless ones. The brush ones are good. The brush ones are really good. The reason I like the brushless, now a lot of racers will say you shouldn't do this, but they have the assist in it, and at this small and with this much power and speed, without that steering assist, they're really hard to keep under control. They have that. You can turn it off. Like, we could make everybody turn it off. I like that it comes with it, though. But it also has metal diffs. It has the metal shocks. Just the upgrades on it are really nice. So getting all of that out of the box with that, the assist, what do they call that? What do they call that? Steering, dynamic stability control, the DSC. So yeah, it has 4 selectable modes, just like the other stuff, just like the Quake has, that you can set to help with more or less, or turn it off. So come real racing, if we end up doing that, we'll turn it off just to make everybody driving. But yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, moving on. Typhon, Arma. So here's what I was going to talk about, right? So we said we were going to talk about the No Limit Midwest, did that. Typhon talked about it. Quake talked about it. Indestructible, that was about the Quake, talked about it. Indestructible, guys. Lap monitor timing system, the Vanquish, and the Furatech. So now we can end it talking about the Great Lakes Gauntlet. Below that says West Michigan RC Monster Trucks. We talked about that too. So the last thing is to talk about the Great Lakes Gauntlet. The Walters have been working on their place and getting it ready for us. September 19th through 21st, the Great Lakes Gauntlet. Jeff's been out there working, getting his, so that's September 15th. He's got his lights all working again for the night runs on the upfront crawler course. And that's taken some work, because I was over there when we were looking at the monster truck stuff, and that needed some work. He's put in some time. They've got the people mover tractor all set to go, it looks like. But they have been definitely keeping busy. They've got a lot of stuff going on there at the park, flying and all of that. But you can see they've been working out there, making some of the bridges. If I go to the Great Lakes actual gauntlet page, there's some other stuff on here. Purgatory is going to be coming up. We've updated this year, if you haven't heard, there's now another class. We've got for the mini comp that I host with 124 Mop is the 124 scale brushed class, 124 scale brushless class. There's the 12 and under, which is anything 18 and under. They'll run on the 18 scale courses, so they'll have the wider gates. And then we're going to have 18 scale brushed and 18th scale brushless. That's the new one for 2025. In the beginning, there wasn't a lot of 18th scale interest. And it has considerably grown in the last year, 2 years. So last year it went huge. And it was that last year's when I realized we probably could break this up as well. Plus, I just want to give away more trophies. So it's one other thing somebody can win a trophy for. Because last year we lumped everybody together, brushed and brushless, in the 18th scale. And, there's definitely advantages and disadvantages to everything with the way that we do cars. One thing that I want to point out is like this event isn't about the mini comp. We're kind of like a carnival ride at the carnival. Like, there's bigger stuff that's going on, and we're just a game that they've got that you could go and try to win a stuffed animal. We're kind of an extra feature. So it's not a full comp of its own. So we're not like treating it as one as such. Although people are really, year after year, it's one of those things that people want to come and win. It's still a competition. And so there's a little bit of that now that we've got going on. But the rules are the same. We're going to have it timed. There's going to be designated amounts of time. And that's going to be based on the gates. So once we set the gates, I don't compete in this. Once we set the gates, I run it. And we kind of, with a stocker-ish truck, and we run it to see how long it takes me. And then we usually add another minute. And I'm usually a pretty slow driver anyway, but we're not looking to make it where the time's really the making you race and rush. We want you to have time to do the course, but we also don't want the people that take forever on a certain obstacle just trying and trying. Like, there comes a point where it's like, go for it and move on, or just call for the help, like get a winch or take a reverse. Stop trying to force it and you're not getting anywhere. So that's the reason we're doing it, because we get that sometimes on some Thursday nights where you get people just backing up. And that's when they get that issue with that Fear Tech thing that I was talking about, where you're just sitting there for so long. When you go, you have to go and turn it on and off. So it basically went into some shutdown mode. So we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to keep it moving. So we had I don't remember the number. It feels like it was 100 rigs that we were trying to move through. So it's a lot, because we've got 2 hours. And if each person takes 6 minutes and you can only have a couple people on the course at a time, that gets tough. Our volunteers, we're all volunteers. I volunteer. I pay to sponsor it, so I pay to be at it. I'll be paying for the trophies here very soon. But everybody's volunteering to help judge, and it usually goes longer than the 2. We cut off new people coming in at the time, but we still try to run everybody that's already there. And then sometimes judges still have to run or whatever, because they get to run. They didn't test the course, they didn't whatever. Good or bad, for them at the end, so they've watched a bunch of people. And I always say anyone can stay and watch other people and get ideas. Nobody's forcing you to go early. But also, the more people that run it, the more it gets chewed up. And so lines that were easy could become hard and get dug out. And so it's not necessarily beneficial either to wait too long. So rocks get moved, a whole bunch of stuff happens as more and more people drive the course. So I'm seeing I got a text message here. But yeah, the thing that is interesting with it all is, everybody's volunteering and we have people. What we want is we want it to be judged the same. And so that's why we have judges for it that all know how we do the rules, how we give points for gate hits, hands of God, hitting a boundary, what's a winch, what's not, rollover stuff. That gets tricky. Basically, we just say anything that's on the lid that gets upside down at that point is hand of God, got to flip it over. If it's still on its side, we let people winch, typically use a winch point for that. But winches aren't cheap in these rules either, so, any of the penalties kind of add up quick. We'll just say that. We actually put reverses less because we want people to drive and keep moving. So our reverse points are less. But we have them be a little bit more damaging too, so that we don't want people to feel like if you hit a gate that you're done. No, I mean, if people take gates are 10, but reverse is 3, a winch is 5. So they still get like half of the penalty of the gate by just taking the winch. So that's kind of how we're trying to do it to kind of make the scoring a little bit easier. The time doesn't count for anything unless there's a tie, at which point the person who got through the course faster would be deemed the winner. But other than that, it's not like a race, and it's not penalizing you for time. So if going slower means that you can get the best score and win it outright, you're better off doing that. But if you think you're going to tie somebody, then you might have to use the idea of going a little faster to make sure you have a better time. Anyway, that kind of stuff. It should be fun. That's the whole point of it. It's a carnival game, guys. I hate to make it sound like that, but that's really, don't take it too serious. The trophies are going to be cool. Paul making them. But the bigger gauntlet itself, there's a lot going on. I just wanted to bring up my part because that's where I'm thinking and working on. But it opens up Friday. Gates open at 10. Register all day, 10 to 6. The trails open at 1 p.m. in the woods. Up front, once you get your wristband, you cannot drive till you have a wristband. Once you have your wristband and you're registered, you can start driving vehicles up front. Once the trails open in the back, you can go back there at 1 p.m. King of Rocks is 3 to 5 p.m. The 124th and 118th competitions are 4 to 6 on Friday. And they're also going to be 2 to 4 on Saturday. Purgatory is 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then 10 p.m. night crawl on the front course. Super fun. Super duper fun. And then 11 is the last time for the People Mover pickup at the woods, which hopefully everybody's done back there because Purgatory's done at 10. So if not, you can still leave the woods, but you got to walk. And it's not that far. I would say it's not as far as walking into the area where they do the night run at Axial Fest. It's not that far at all. So it's walkable. Most people would rather take the People Mover. Saturday registration reopens at 7. So if you're pulling in Saturday morning and you're wanting to get out there, get there early because the trails open at 9. The Gauntlet event starts at 9. There's a separate area for that. The Gauntlet is what this is all about. There is a race that is taking place. It is time-based. And your penalties, your hitting gates and that stuff, basically count as extra time. So it is time-based. 9 o'clock. 2 to 4 is the, and that one's self-judged. And so you just got to be honest. 3 p.m. show and shine. 3 p.m. scorecards for the Gauntlet have to be turned in. That way they have time to get ready for the awards and the group photo at 6 p.m. And then they're going to do a night crawl in the woods that night, 9 p.m. Again, last People Mover out is at 11. So, should be good. What's going on, Earl's RC? So yeah, that's it. Sunday trails are open. It's no real official events, just more trail time. So they let you stay another night, hang out, run stuff in the morning still if you feel like you wanted to get to trails you hadn't gotten to. There's still more RCing to be done. So that's the gauntlet in a nutshell, you guys. It's going to be a good time. Again, a lot of the extra stuff is just fun. There's the King of Rocks. There's what we're doing with the 24th and 18th scale comps. And I say that it's kind of like that. Like, so I've had people asking about the rules and why they're not like RCCMCA or the reaction rules or any of the other rules that there are for comps. And the reason that they aren't that way is because they've never been that way. This was started as just something fun to have by a bunch of guys that like doing 124 scale crawling and to show the people that were showing up for a 110 scale thing that the 124 scale was fun and cool. And so a lot of those guys have the 124 scale, but they haven't built it to be within whatever rule sets we run for a comp. And so since this is not necessarily for the mini comp people, this isn't a mini comp event, we left the rules as lax as possible so that anybody that has a car can run the course and try to get a score and compete. It's free. It's not costing you any extra. You've paid to be here and run on the big courses. This is just an extra thing. And it's not a designated event. If we wanted that to be something, that would be its own charge, probably event at that point. It's not that way. This is literally just a free extra comp that you can compete in while you're there, running the trails, camping, hanging out, doing what you're doing. All in all, this is a fairly inexpensive event to attend. And so all these extra things that are being thrown at you are just bonus. So the goal is we broke out the classes because in the beginning, the brushed brushless was the biggest advantage. But if we were to do it based on other things, people with really junky brushed cars, but they thought it would be cool to stick on a different chassis, it could just be a carbon fiber version of the stock chassis, but that would be in some classes, it would put you into the hardest class that there is. So we're not looking to do that with people. We're just trying to say, hey, you've got a car. Okay, cool. As long as, your tires aren't, we put it pretty big, like 63 millimeter max on the tires. It's a pretty big, those are some of the bigger tires you can get. And then just basically it's got to be a 1-speed transmission, 24 scale, which is typical. We don't have any rules about bumpers because a lot of people they take them off to fit bodies on. Like, just no 4-wheel steer. That's the only thing. And honestly, we had a 4-wheel steer class and it didn't do good. It wasn't an advantage, but we did away with it. Just there was too many classes and we just kept it to sticking with what the most people showed up with. And we just wanted them to fit in a class. And so the easiest way to not have to sit and tech check everything and be like, well, you have all things that should be class 2, except that you do have this one thing. So now you have to do the hard class. Your tires are in that class, or we just said, well, let's just go with the motors. That's our break point on things. And honestly, again, you come to Reaction on a Thursday night and the class 2 trucks that run brush with stock chassis and whatever get better scores on many nights than our super comped out trucks. It's crazy. I don't know why that it is. They got smaller tires. They got brushed motors. They got less control. They get better scores. I don't know why. So, it's not even that big of a deal. Like, you could put them all and lump them into one class and just make everybody compete for the prize based on size. But I like giving away trophies, so we just said brushed and brushless. That was an easy way to divvy things up, and it's easy for them to know, Oh, just ask the people, is it brushed or brushless? That's all we want to know. Okay, boom, here. We're going to put that on the scorecard. And that's kind of all we're looking at. But even that's not necessarily the most determining factor. And people have said that, and it's like, I get it. But I don't want to just lump everything together. And that's just the easiest one to. There's a lot more control that you get on that and the speed and different things. So that was our decision. And again, it's not a comp following any comp rules that are out there. It's just something we've done. And, you have kids showing up. You have all different, it's only recently that people have gotten into it and really gotten into rules and figuring out how to do this stuff. And we've just decided to stick with what worked since the beginning. And people that want more serious and want, whatever, they can go to the national comps for these things. That's not what this is. So we just look to have a good time and not really follow too much. We don't want too much burden to be on our judges, and we don't want to be sitting there teching every truck that comes, and we've already got a limited amount of time, and honestly, only so many trucks end up toward that top part anyway. So to split hairs over little things is just kind of silly. A lot of it comes down to driver, no matter what. So anyway, that said, I think that's everything in a nutshell. I've got some more videos I got to work on. I got to work on that FMS high roller monster truck video. I'll read the chats here. I've been trying to keep up just looking over there, but I've been trying to keep this going because this is, again, a podcast, one more than a live stream. I just decided to do them as live streams now, but so that we can have a video recording of it as well, because what I'd normally do is just sit up here and talk like I'm doing right now, but not even to the camera or whatever, just talk. And so we just kind of added this little element to it, so if people do want to watch the video later, they can. But it's first and foremost, this is the one that's dedicated to the people that like to listen on their drive, like to listen at work, like to do all that kind of stuff, just kind of keep up. Let me get to your comments, and I'm just going to quickly scroll through this here. I didn't mention Cloudbusters much. Yes, Cloudbusters are a great way to still get in at an affordable level in the RC Monster Truck Racing. So Stout House Rat said, I out of the box had more fun with my SMT10 than my Cloudbuster. Buy your chassis for the SMT10 off eBay and get your SMT10 custom build going, $400 to $500. Yes, that was about it. But Cloudbusters are still an inexpensive way to get into racing. If you want to do retro, you can still get into that pretty cheap, because the motors that come with it work and all that. So the main thing is you want to get a different servo mount on axles, way better. Lock out the rear just for stability. Other than that, you can run stock chassis. I know a lot of people that do, and they still run great. So, but you can also then upgrade over time. Or eventually you can take those axles and you can put brushless motors in them and go stupid fast. Like some of the fastest racers are running Claude-based Pro Mod trucks. So that's still a way to get into it and get going. Trevor Crip says that they're excited about the Gauntlet. Travis is saying he needs to finish working on trucks for the Gauntlet. I haven't even got to touch mine. I don't even know if I'm going to get to. But I don't have to drive them much, so I'm not going to worry that much. I'm going to bring a 10th scale crawler. I'm going to bring... I got to see Double Down Debo's post here, too, in a second. I'm going to bring a mini crawler. I'll do the night one. I need one. I'll probably end up doing the Gladiator as that's my class 2 truck. I'll probably run that for the timing of it. Because that one's running really good. I do have a stock truck I could bring too. I actually have my DSM off-road stock truck with his cool add-on parts that allow you to have new shock placements and all that. to your stock chassis. Keep it class 2. I'll bring that. That's what I'll bring. He says you're doing it right. So Double Down said, hey, Tony, FMS sent me 22 trucks for the FMS tent this year. I'll be raffling off a lot of trucks. Oh, very cool. People should check them out for the FMS raffles. That's awesome. Trevor says he's only going for the small stuff. That's cool, man. Hey, Raymond. Maybe building a comp rig right now. TX4 Jora LCG kit. Okay, cool. The monster bug. Anyway, so I think that wraps everything up. I thought there was one thing I was going to try to get to, but I don't remember. I don't remember right now what it was. I did just find a chassis that I need to find some old SCX-10-2 parts for, I think. I have a leaf sprung chassis that I've got right when I was moving from Michigan and never did anything with, but I want to do it and get another retro going that's a cool shaft-driven one. So I've got the parts. I just need to finish it up. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a great day. Have fun RCing. We'll catch you in the next episode.